Hi, this is part 4 of lecture 9 video lessons. So in this video, I will explain about the evolution of spanning tree protocol. So basically, the things that we have learned in the previous videos is the basic STP operation. But we know that spanning tree protocol has been around for more than 20 years. So basically the protocol itself has evolved. So the IEEE first standardized STP as IEEE 802.1D. So this is the earliest version, okay, the earliest version of the STP. So to put some perspective, the spanning tree protocol, when the basic spanning protocol does not cater the addition of VLANs on the switch. So to cater that, Cisco made an enhancement of STP that provides a separate 802.1D spanning tree instance for each VLAN configured in the network. So that's what we call as PVST plus. So PVST plus is the Cisco version of the STP. And then later on, there is an updated version of the existing 8EEE 802.1D standards for the STP, which what we call as IEEE RSTP. So RSTP, or Rapid Spanning Tree Protocol, is a evolution of the 802.1D protocol. So RSTP standard is IEEE 802.1W. Okay, IEEE 802.1W. So if the newer version refers to the Rapid Spanning Tree protocol. So for Cisco themselves, so they have enhanced the RSTP protocol that uses PVST plus and provides separate instance of 802.1W per VLAN. So the separate instance will support port fast, BPDU guard, BPDU filter, root guard, and also loop guard. So I repeat again, how does it evolve in Cisco switch. So basically, the original standard for STP is IEEE 802.1D, but Cisco comes with their own enhancement of the original standard, original STP version, which is PVST plus, that supports multiple VLANs in the network. And then when the newer standards comes out, which is Rapid Spanning Tree Protocol, or IEEE 802.1W. So basically Cisco again made an enhancement of the newer version of the STP, which is Rapid PVST plus. Okay. So basically that's the evolution, and now we also have the multiple spanning tree, which is the Cisco implementation of MSTP. But for this particular chapters or this particular topic, I will only focus the differences between the basic STP, which is IEEE 802.1D, with the newer version with IEEE 802.1W, which is RSTP. So RSTP supersedes the original 802.1D, and at the same time retaining the backward compatibility. Okay, so meaning it's still compatible. So the the RSTP terminology remains primarily the same as the original STP. So for the users that already have familiarity with the basic STP standard can easily configure RSTP. So for the Cisco, because they implement or they enhance the RSTP into rapid PVST plus. So it is the if you want to run RSTP on Cisco, so we actually can configure rapid PVST plus. So now let us see the differences between these two different standards, which is 802.1d and 802.1w. So there are two main differences here. The first difference is the port states, and the second difference is the port rules. So as we know, in STP, the basic STP 802.1d, so there are four main state. I just ignore the actually it is five, but the main state is four, which is what happened here is under RSTP, the learning state and forwarding state remain, but all disable blocking and listening state in the original STP is merged into one state only, which is discarding state. Alright, so that's one different. And then the second difference is in terms of the port rules. So we know in the STP, the basic STP, there are three main port rules, which is root port, designated port, and block port. But under RSTP, the block port is divided in, the block port now can be identified as either backup port or alternate port. So alternate port is actually the block port, the actual block port, and then we also have the backup port, okay, under RSTP. So the RSTP port states and port rules. So if you see here, the alternate port has an alternate path to the root bridge. Meaning here, so it's if you look in the previous STP operation that I have explained in the earlier videos, so basically the function of the alternate port is the same like in the RSTP and also in the STP, but because in the STP we have another port rules, which is backup port. So the backup port is a backup to a shared medium such as hub. Okay, so basically because we don't usually use hub anymore, so the backup port is less common now because hub is already considered as legacy devices. So hence reason we do not come across the backup port anymore unless you are connecting the switch to a hub. So then there's we know that the RSTP also enable port fast and BPDU guard. So what is port fast actually? So we know as explained in part 3, so the switch port need to go from the listening and the learning state and then the forwarding state. So each time there is a waiting time or a delay of 15 seconds for each state. So the total for the switch port to actually converge from the listening until the forwarding is a total of 30 seconds. So because of this, because 30 seconds is a really long time, so it will present a problem for a PC that would like to request for DHCP services. Okay, maksudnya lambat for them to get the IP address for DHCP from the DHCP servers. So basically because it takes too long, the time is too long. So what happened is we can configure port fast to actually skip, okay, from blocking straight away to forwarding. Otherwise, as we learned earlier on, so the process is from blocking to listening, from listening to learning, from learning to forward, right? To forwarding state. But now by configuring port fast, so we can skip the listening and learning state, thus avoiding the 30-second delays. So now you have to remember you can use port fast on access port to allow devices connected to this port to access the network immediately. So port fast should only be used on access port. So you cannot enable port fast on trunk port. Okay, because if you enable port fast on a trunk port, what does it mean? When a switch is connected to another switch, so the switch port mode need to be a trunk mode, isn't it? So if you enable port fast on a trunk port, so basically you will risk creating a spanning tree loop. And then we have another concept that we call, another feature that we call as BPDU guard. So for BPDU guard, when you enable the BPDU guard, it will immediately protect from potential loops because it will shut down put the switch port in error disable or shut down the particular port. All right. So for example, I give you an example to shows the implementation of port fast and BPDU guard. Says see if you look into the diagram, so say for example we have switch 1 and switch 2. So where should we place the port fast? So we should place the port fast on the port that is access port. So basically, which one is the port to the access port? F02. So F02 is the port that is connected to end device PC. So this we can enable port fast here. Okay, we can enable port fast. But we cannot enable port fast on F024 because of why? Because if you enable port fast on F024, it is a port with trunk mode, right? Because it is S1, switch 1 is connected to another switch, so it will become a trunk mode. Okay, the switch port mode is trunk mode. So basically, we do not configure port fast on F024 because we do not want looping to happen. Yeah, looping to happen. Okay, because when you configure port fast, you will not be part of the STP network. Okay, so now and then there's another thing that, like I explained earlier on, we have this thing that we call as this feature that we call as BPDU guard. So if we need to enable BPDU guard on a port to prevent a switch from being accidentally connected to port fast enabled ports. Yeah, okay. Somehow, like for example, this is also like I already said earlier on, right? Earlier on, so port fast is usually enabled on access port. But when a switch is connected to another rogue switch, so rogue switch, what it means by rogue switch, it is unauthorized switch. Yeah, unauthorized switch. So if the unauthorized switch try to send a BPDU frame, and we already knew that this particular port is configured is access port, so you need to enable a BPDU guard here. You need to enable BPDU guard on F01. Yeah, you need to enable BPDU on F01 to prevent the switch from being accidentally connected to port fast enable port, because usually the port fast enable port will be enabled on access switch port with access mode. Okay. So over the years, organization require greater resiliency and availability in the LAN. So an important aspect to network design is a fast and predictable convergence when there is a failure or change in the topology. However, spanning tree does not offer the same efficiencies and predictabilities provided by routing protocol at layer 3. So on the layer 3 routing, it actually allows redundant path and loop in the topology without blocking the port. So this is something that you need to understand. For this reason, some environments are transitioning to layer 3 everywhere except where devices connect to the access layer switch. So this is a very important part that you need to understand for implementation of